Steve Leisman joins us now with a look at what $2,000 payments would mean for the economy should they be approved. I self-monitor myself on Twitter, and I'm not on Facebook, but I'm so aware. I mean, you say anything, and the haters, Steve. So, I mean, I would never say anything that I could be liable for something. I don't think. Do you? So I don't need liability protection. I don't think. I'm too scared.
Not yet, Joe. But one of these days you may need it. Look, I don't want to get. I want to stay away from the politics. But I'll tell you, Joe, is the intensity of the political debate is echoed among economists who split on whether these big checks are needed and how much good they'll do. In effect, they're debating Y2K. These would be the biggest stimulus checks ever sent. Let me start off with the downside. Of course, you have to start with the deficit impact of an additional $300 billion going out the door. It goes to some who may not need it. As a result, much will be saved, and there are diminishing returns for every dollar of government spending. John Riding from Breen Capital told me yesterday it probably means a lot more savings and a big hole in the budget. I don't think it means that much in the way of actual aggregate demand. Riding doesn't think Americans can really push up their goods purchases much more. Obviously, they're not doing a whole lot of services purchases. He would prefer to send bigger checks to the unemployed or extend unemployment benefits beyond March, and he worries about the possible inflationary effects when the economy returns to potential. Annetta Markowska from Jefferies says the estimate's about 1.5% of GDP is the cost, but it boosts GDP by just 0.8%. That's a sign of the diminishing returns you'd get. All right, here's the upside of the $2,000 checks. Well, in the world, deficit doesn't really matter much right now, at least, and you may actually help the deficit by increasing demand. It helps those who have fallen through the cracks of the existing benefit system, and it could speed up the recovery. David Miracle, chief U.S. economist from Goldman Sachs, tells me this money can get out more quickly and maybe get to more people who otherwise wouldn't get help in the existing benefit system. And I talked to Austin Goolsbee yesterday. He sent me this note saying targeting lower income people and at-risk groups like the unemployed would be better. But compared with not doing anything, a scatter shot is better than no shot. So it's clear. The economics for these checks are not as clear as they were back in the spring for the $1,200 checks. It comes down to this, I think. If you really think the deficit is a problem, you don't want to mess up how you use what money you have. If you don't worry much about the deficit, well, you might as well send the checks because it could do some good and won't do a lot of harm, Joe.
I hear you, Steve. So you're not going to you won't get political. Far be it from you or me to get political. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but we need it. Does it go to the right people? Both sides, Lately,
no.
Steve,
No,
I'm ready to go back and be on the debate team because you could assign either side of half of these issues to me, and I think I could make a decent case. You know what I mean? So that maybe that's why there's disagreement.
I really feel that way about this one. And, Joe, I think the issue is the economics right now cannot answer the question about the deficit. We just don't know. People who I talk to are like, we don't know how much it matters, how far we can go. I know Senator Toomey, respect his opinions a lot, is going to come up and say he thinks the deficit is a problem, and I respect that point of view. Joe, can I just end with an economics joke, which is one economist told me, and I'll get lots of hate mail on this. Yeah. One economist told me that all you need to know about the economics of the $2,000 check is that Pelosi and Trump both support it.
You know what? That's less of a joke and more of a really bizarro observation that we are now living in that world, that Seinfeldian world where nothing makes sense.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.